Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing and start healing and finally feel like yourself again. No more one-size-fits-all protocols, just real answers, deep-rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to the show. And good morning to you, Deb.
Good morning.
I'm so excited for our conversation. I think this is going to be lovely, and I really appreciate you taking the morning and being on the
Thank
show.
you. Yes, excited
But
to be here.
yeah, so Deb is the founder of Reis Wellness Services, where she empowers healthcare professionals and nurse leaders with evidence-based integrative therapies designed to improve patient outcomes and reduce burnout. And she has over 35 years of experience and has developed practical 5-minute strategies that enhance team cohesion, elevate satisfaction, and create a more resilient healthcare environment. And I know we're going to get way into this, but one of the reasons I really appreciate coming onto the show is it's not just therapies for the people that are getting treatment too. It's the people that are giving you the treatment and, becoming
Yeah.
more aligned, more advocates on both sides of this, which I think is so important. So, Deb, please let us know a little bit more on who you are and how you got started in this.
Yes, thank you. Well, I got started, of course, as a nurse, and I can remember distinctly, I wanted to be, of course, in healthcare to be able to serve and to be able to care for others. But I was dealing with critical care patients, loved the environment, but realized that something was missing in my practice. It was like, okay, there's got to be more than putting pieces together and giving pharmaceuticals. And, when you put that message out there, it's kind of like these things started to come into my life. And, things about sharing energy work like healing touch and aromatherapy. And I started to realize I was in a place of probably like burnout. I didn't know it at the time, but I was really struggling with my job, with my balance of my home life and work life, going back to school, raising a family. It was just really very stressful. And I started to use these tools that I was encountering and realized I was able to come to a better place of balance. And then started to share them with others, with my colleagues who also, it's kind of like I was in the closet a little bit. I didn't want to
Yeah,
say anything.
for sure.
This was like, 20 years ago. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, what am I doing? But I'm feeling better. So, my family is doing better.
Hmm.
And so my colleagues started to notice and like, what are you doing? And I started to slowly share and they became interested. And we really started to look at how could we integrate for our patients these different modalities and tools, which led to a role in oncology down the road, in oncology department, where we do integrative therapies for our patients and their family members. But
Mm.
as we moved into the COVID time period, I really started to notice more. I really started to focus more on what was going on with our healthcare workers, specifically nurses. We were kind of taking the brunt of this COVID experience. Things were changing sometimes by the minute on how we had to garb, how we had to manage people, where we had to go. And the stress was just overwhelming for our systems. And in the space of integrative health in our hospital system, we could no longer see patients, have them come in. Our patients became our staff. And
Mm.
it really opened my eyes to, you know, people will say, oh, I love doing aromatherapy. I love doing energy work, but I don't have the time to do this. And I'm thinking, yeah, you do. It's just how we have to look at it. We really can take a tool and we can really look, how can we niche it or narrow it down so that you can become in a better place of balance in minutes and also help another who may be stressed or anxious to come back to balance quickly. So that became my focus, is how can we help those who are serving others by being their best, by being more empowered, by reducing the burnout that is out there. We would think after COVID, things would just come back to balance. It's
No,
really amazing. It hasn't. If anything, it's gotten worse.
that's
And
wild.
that's surprising, I think. But I believe it's because we haven't changed our paradigm of thinking
Mm,
that as healthcare providers, nurses, we don't want what was provided in the old way of throw more money at it, throw food at it. It's like, no, I want something to help me be more in balance. Education, workplace tools, and workplace incentives that can help me be in a better place of balance. But that's taking a while to shift the mindset in our healthcare system. And my mission is really changing our sick care system, because that's what we have,
yes.
a sick care system, into really looking at healthcare.
Mm,
And that's a paradigm shift. I know we say it, but it's really becoming a greater awareness and doing it, which is something I think, that's what your mission is, and what you're doing. And I think, just slowly we are making those strides. And that's what I have put out there, like in what I call the I-STEP program, Integrative Supportive Therapy Engagement Program, are tools that we can use, tools that may not, I mean, one tool may speak to you and another tool may speak to me, but we have options. And what works best in our plan and what works best in our busy lifestyle. We are all busy. That's the world we live in. What can we do? We may not be able to change that, but we can change how we manage it ourselves in the situation. So that's kind of in a nutshell where I started and where I have come to, as far as being still in nursing, still love it, and it's the place I love to be. But I really, really believe it's time for reform and change.
I mean, so powerful and so needed,
Yeah.
right? I think whether people admit it or not, we're burnt out, and especially, healthcare workers. I mean, having worked with so many nurses, there's a lot of trauma. And I don't use that
Yes.
word lightly from the COVID era and before. Plus, I mean, if you're working in that environment anyways, you're dealing with
Right.
secondary all the time, and it's like we're not taught how to regulate and how to move through that. And, it's
You're
like
right.
it feels overwhelming because it's like, oh, I don't know where to
Mhm.
start. So you never do. And so I think
Right.
it's interesting for you kind of coming in. And I am curious about tools and things like that. But,
Mhm.
you know, when we talk about integrating integrative work with healthcare, it's a messy topic, right? Because they kind of
Yes.
clash, right? And people
Mhm.
in my world, on the functional health world, or even, gosh, bioenergetics, it's not widely accepted in this
You're
system.
right.
And so it's kind of like do it this way or do it this way, but there's no middle ground. And I that
Mhm.
is changing in the last
Yes.
few years for sure. But what I think is interesting, I'd like you to tap on is when you come in, it's not about this way or that way. It's like, what are some small tools we can do to just bring the body into balance? And it's not, oh, you have to go to an integrative healthcare clinic or you have to go,
Right.
right? Because then there's that clash. So walk me through a little bit on what you do with people and the different kind of tools that you find most successful. Again, that's going to change person to person,
Right.
but I'm curious.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So I kind of put it into three pillars. We have our relaxation techniques like breath work, energy work, meditation, imagery, things of that nature. We have our aromatherapy. So those tools that can help us. And when I talk aromatherapy, I'm really talking about the organic, tested essential oils that we know are not perfume based.
Hmm.
And just as a side note, most of what's out there is perfume based. So really looking at looking at things that are going to work with our system and not work against our system because of the toxins. And then there's movement therapy. And that is probably one of the most neglected areas that we look at or consider, because what's the first thing to go when we get stressed or we're really busy? It's our movement. It could be exercise, but it doesn't have to be. It could be walking, stretching, but that has been really researched. is how powerful, not only for our body, but for our mind, as far as an anti-aging. And so I really blend those three pillars and what can we do to help you or help yourself. And for myself, I actually start my day with a practice, and it means I get up a little bit earlier, but that's something I do. And I really highly suggest people put this in their practice, either beginning of the day or end of the day, or both, where you really find a tool that helps you to get connected and grounded in your day so that you're not rushing out of bed, grabbing your cup of coffee and rushing out the door. That's then what your nervous system is all. So really looking at, okay, taking 5 minutes and grounding, maybe breath work, maybe you're using a diffuser with an aromatherapy that helps you relax and really focus. And maybe you do a little bit of stretching in the morning, and it can be something very simple like a reaching up, reaching down, and just wiggling out your joints just to really get yourself in a space of being connected. Working with others, I really look at what is the concern. In the healthcare setting, a lot of times it's anxiety over a diagnosis you've just gotten, over a treatment plan that's really creating an imbalance in your system. So we look at, breath work, although we say that lightly and maybe don't take, we can, oh yeah, we got to breathe. But it is so important when you do a specific way of breathing. It really helps you to set intention. It really helps you to now focus, because I have to focus on the pattern, which slows down the nervous system. And when that is slowed down, our immune system is in a place of where it can repair and rebalance and really get us into a place of balance and inner peace, which is so important when there's chaos around us. Again, we can't always control that, but we can control how we're going to react to it. And I may bring in aromatherapy. Most of the time people are accepting of that, but sometimes not. But we can look at those aromas that can help focus or relax or energize. Those are some of the major things we might be looking at within our healthcare arena or for each other. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the movement, simple walking, exercise, stretching is just with your breathing is just so amazing. And again, it's something you can do within a matter of a minute even. It's very quick. We have something in the unit called Happy Feet Time. At the top of the hour, we will have if somebody's at the desk, they'll say it's Happy Feet Time, and they might just get up and move their feet, move their arms a little bit. And it's interesting, some of the patients get involved, and they're, if they're in the chemo chair or something, they might be like, okay, I'm getting up too, and I'm stretching. And it's just a good reminder. All right, let's get happy feet time. Let's move our feet, move our joints, and it takes 30 seconds. And what happens, the endorphins are raised, everybody's kind of smiling and laughing, and you just feel good. So just, again, really quick things like that can be very helpful.
I love that. Like, we used to do that back in college when I was in like kinesiology and all this. It's like we would like forced to take like 5 seconds to get up, and we do like stretch breaks or like movement breaks, and it was like it's powerful. It gets your blood flowing, it gets those endorphins going, and it's so small. And I don't care if you feel silly. Get up and do the most silliest thing ever, because guess what? You're gonna sit down and be like, okay, I do feel better.
Right.
You're gonna resist it.
Now they have research to back what that action, so there's a lot of research out there. Get up every hour, every 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. It's just definitely something that we knew in ourselves, but now we have the evidence to support that.
Yes, which is nice. I know you and I are both like science-based, but also, blending the science and the energy is
Yes.
a very interesting topic we could probably spend an hour,
Yes.
talking about on how powerful it is. And now, it is nice that it is much more researched in the last decade, than ever before, really.
And that's absolutely, you do have to talk the language of where you are having your, wanting to promote the
Yes.
practice. You have to talk that language. And the language is show me the science, show me the savings. You know, I
Yep.
mean, we know it's good for us, but you do have to, it is a good reminder. We have to talk the language of where we want to take the practice.
Oh, girl. Yeah. We could chat about this all day long because I always joke I bring my 5D clients to the 3D a little bit and my 3D a little more up to the 5D. It's like there has to be this balance.
Yes.
I talk about it all the time too. Sometimes we might not fully understand, and that's okay
Mhm.
too. We don't always
Yeah.
have to logicize everything because, especially in the healthcare world, it's very clinical. There's data for this, there's a report,
Right.
and it's like sometimes with our body, it's like, how do you actually just feel? No data, just like tap into how you feel because we're so disconnected with that, which honestly, I
Right.
feel like, and I'd be curious on your thoughts, you almost have to be to an extent because you're dealing with a lot and you can't take
Yes.
that on, especially, people that are very empathetic end up having some of the worst health problems because they're taking
Yeah.
all of the stress from. So it's like you almost have to separate it, but also just not disconnect yourself from your body too, because we're not taught that. Like, is that
Absolutely.
something that you're kind of, bringing awareness to and, obviously integrating, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. And that's a really good point you bring up about disconnecting. That is something I have actually seen as well. And it's amazing when we don't feel good or we've had something happen to us, like a surgery maybe or something of that nature. It's almost unconscious, but there's this disconnect.
Hmm.
And it is something that, it is so important that, like you said, that we really are aware of what's happening and reconnected to our body. And it's interesting what I have found is that movement can really help us with that.
Yeah.
Moving in a way that's pleasurable. So I'm
Hmm.
not talking about get on the treadmill and how much can you do and how fast can you go. No, that's a disconnect. But really listening to your body. What am I doing that makes me feel good? And
Hmm.
doing more of that. What am I, it's same with like eating and nutrition. What is it that, really feels good for my body? A donut might be a quick fix, but you're going to want more sugar and that's not going to feel good. So
Yeah.
what is really going to help me? And the other thing I really emphasize, especially with people who are in that caring environment, practice environment, nurses, what are you doing to help yourself ground and stay connected here? It's easy to float there, or it's easy to get caught up in the chaos. We talked a little bit, and you mentioned a little bit about energy, that chaos, the anger, things of that, it's a low frequency, high intensity, but it's
Mhm.
low frequency, easy to get caught up into it. So when you find that happening, when you find yourself, ooh, I'm moving in that direction, really taking a moment, even if it's breath, again, breath work, ground your feet to the earth, really taking a big breath in. And what is your intention? My intention is peace. My intention is inner joy. My intention is for comfort in my body, mind, and spirit. So really taking a moment, 5 seconds even. And I'll even say just count to five and
Yeah.
just get yourself connected. Because when we're connected, then we are connected,
Mhm.
connecting with the earth, connecting with, your surroundings in a positive way, but also being aware of what that connection is feeling within. Even in I put it here, this is my heart center. So how is it feeling here in my heart? And if it's feeling good, then yes. If it's feeling icky, then find something different that's going to help you feel good. But yeah, centering is so important.
Especially in any profession. Like, I mean, this doesn't even,
Yes.
if you're a nurse, if you're going into a
No.
meeting, taking 5 seconds to just ground and breathe. I mean, it is powerful. You align yourself, you don't go in with so much anxiety, but also in this patient-centered practice, you give like there's better energy going into that room, right? Too, which is gonna
Right.
inadvertently, peel off to that patient as well, or client, or
Right.
whatever it is you're doing. But whether you want to believe it or not, people can feel energy, right? And if you're coming in
Oh,
chaotic from
yes.
one room to the other room, especially in your world where it's like, you might have just gotten something like somebody might have just got
Right.
really bad news, right? Number one, and then you go to number two and you have to act like nothing happened. And it's
Exactly. Right.
like your
You need
body
to
has,
ground. Yeah. And, we even say the words, you can cut the tension with a knife.
oh,
Now, what's tension? You can't see it, but you feel it. You feel the energy of that tension. So, yeah, we do. You're right. We do feel energy. We notice it. We use words to describe it, but we may not always be in that awareness of, what we might be encountering or how we can actually reset ourselves to deal with a situation or a concern. And just something quick that came to me as I was putting my hand on my heart, this is something you can do very quickly, is breathe in the intention. So connecting, grounding, and intention. What is your intention for yourself? And just taking even 5 seconds and breathing that in so that when you do go into a meeting, when you do go into maybe a family situation, even something like this, touching my heart center before I go in, is a quick reminder, what do I want for myself? I
mhm.
want joy. I want inner peace. And that's what I'm going to go into. Even if the situation might be chaotic, this is the place I'm staying, is joy and inner peace. And it's a quick reminder for ourselves, something we can do. Nobody has to really know what that means to you, but it's a quick reminder of what we can do. So just again, a simple tool you can do for yourself, breathe into it, your intention, and then move into your situation that you're moving into.
Yeah, something I'm sure you talk about, and again, it's meeting people where they're at too, but also reconnecting with if they believe in a higher power, if they believe in
Yes.
spirit, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be a religious thing, but
Right.
is just being like, give me clarity, give me the tools to speak, the right
Oh,
words to this
yes.
family, right? And it's like, you I feel like there's a lot of autopilot, right? And it's like, if you take those moments and just center, it's like you might get a download of something different that's gonna hit more home to this person, right?
Absolutely. Great point.
But you can't do that through the chaos. And so it's like, sometimes it's for you and it's also for that person too, and inadvertently, it helps everybody, but that sometimes you don't know the right words, and or
Right.
or you're not sure about what's going on and you really do need that clarity. You can't find clarity in chaos. I mean, I guess
Yes.
you can, but it's coming from a
By
different
staying connected. Yeah. I mean, at least clarity for yourself and not getting caught up
yeah.
in the chaos. Yeah. And
Do
finding
you,
that inner peace.
which is I'm curious on pushback on that
Uh-huh.
in this
Uh-huh.
environment because dealing with so many people in this environment or just a lot of people we're high driven many times type A, disconnected, okay, but do you ever receive pushback on this is kind of weird, I don't like this, or I don't want to do it, or it's not going to help? Because listen, if anybody's listening, I was like this 5, 10 years ago too. I was like, that's fine. This sounds great. I'm sure it works, but I'm going to just keep going because I'm doing
Right.
fine. I feel fine. I was not fine. Like my body was screaming red
Yes.
light, red flag after red flag, but I kept telling myself I was fine, right? It's a safety
Yes.
mechanism. Our body's smart. But I'm sure you see that too. You can
Oh,
see from
yes.
the bird's eye, like your body's starting to fall apart, your anxiety's getting bad, your body's not being able to cope as well. But how do you shift that paradigm in the brain of being like, this could really help you, or just kind of go over those hurdles that maybe, this is really helpful.
Right. Right. Well, you do have to meet people where they're at. You're absolutely right. And I can suggest, but I can't, force anybody to do something. But I think as a presence, if you maintain your presence, and oftentimes that's what people will say, oh, you are very calm, or you seem very, at ease at, what you're doing, and not taking it personal, and I don't, because I understand everybody's in a different place, and where I've come, I like I've come in a very big steps along the way as well. And just sometimes being in that presence can at least help people start to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I have found, is that at least it's in their awareness now.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be ready to step into it, but you know what? That's the first step to healing.
Mm-hmm.
And healing is different than curing. So that's the first step into healing, is now I'm aware of these other options, these other tools that are there for me to use as part of my plan. We're not saying instead of necessarily, but as part of. And sometimes I can tell you more than one person, it's maybe their second or third diagnosis reoccurrence before they say, you know what, I got to do something else.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, because my body is now saying what's been going on is not working. I have got to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that literally. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that people have come back and said, okay, I've got to start looking at something else. And it's interesting to me now, I'm seeing actually more men. I would say women have been, at least more accepting or more listening, ready to listen. But now I'm finding more men coming into the space, which, I think it's important for our partners, if that's something, that we value, that the people in our life are also going to value that as well.
Oh, 100%. I've seen that shift too,
Mhm.
which is beautiful.
Yes,
I think
yes. Good
everybody,
balance for us.
yes. If you could give, one or two pieces of advice for somebody who's maybe in this environment, wanting some tools, doesn't really know where to start, has heard breath work and all these things, what would you suggest as far as, one or two things they can actionably start today?
Yes. And again, yes, I think there are many people in different chaos environments, teachers, nurses, people working in sales and things like that. And I think it's a good reminder to, again, find what gives you balance, and what is it, setting your intention for your day. As I mentioned before, even if it's starting your day in the morning, and what do I wish for myself and to be as I step into my day, and use your breath work. And the breathing could be maybe with a hand on the heart, maybe another trigger like this. Sometimes I use this. And what is it as I breathe in to a count of 3 or 4, breathing in my intention and breathing out what doesn't serve me to that same count. And it could be, and it's just doing a few rounds of that breath work is something you can start your day with. You can use during your day when you're finding, I've got to go into a meeting that could be a little bit stressful, or I have to have I've got to go into this room where there's a chaotic or combative situation, or you're dealing with a colleague who's, I just recently had that, where you're dealing with somebody who is just angry.
Yes.
It's like, okay, instead of trying to, because they're not going to hear you when they're so angry. So it's just like, okay. And you just stay in that space of inner peace for you. And it's interesting to note, you can shift the energy by not getting involved in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big message, I would say. Stay in your intention for peace. Don't get involved in the chaos.
That's a hard one too. And I think that's a hard one for people
Yes.
to shift, because when you're used to it, it's normal and it feels like comfortable almost. And it's like
Right.
when you shift that, it's pretty incredible, because it's almost it's hard at first. And then eventually you're like, wait a minute, that was my life before? This is,
Right.
wow.
Right.
Feels so
And
much better.
you want to defend immediately. It's like, wait a minute, they didn't have and it's like, nope, just don't even go there. Just stay. Not
Mhm.
going to get involved in that. And it's yours to deal with. It's not mine. And stay in that space of heart-centered love, peace, whatever feels right for you. but just remind yourself that's where I'm at. So it's a
Mm.
quick tool, quick reminder to stay in that place of balance for yourself.
And just because most people aren't watching probably the YouTube, she's putting her middle
Oh,
fingers to her thumb and pressing
and
those together.
yes, thumb and middle
Yes.
finger together. Yes. Or hand on heart center, which is the middle of your chest. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, amazing. I mean, so many great tools, so many simple tools, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. I love this
Not at
conversation.
all.
If people wanted to find more about what you did or what you do, I should say,
Mhm.
where can they
Yeah.
connect with you?
Um, Connect with me on my website, which is my name, Debra, Debra, and Reis, Reis.com. And there are some quick free tools on there that you can download for yourself, and also some other quick meditations that you can do in 5 minutes or less. So practicing what I preach as well. So yeah, it's so important.
Yes, for sure. Well, awesome. I will link her website down in the show notes so you guys can go find her, go connect with her, go check out what she's doing.
Love to talk with you.
Yes, and if anybody listening, found this helpful, would love to know, shoot Deb a message, shoot me a message. We love to hear feedback, or
Yes.
leave a review. It's always nice too, so more people can hear this, beautiful message. So, but thank you for being here. Thank you for spending some of the morning with me, and
Oh,
thank you,
thank
listeners, for
you.
being here too. And we'll catch you guys on the next show.
Thank you.